Manifestation is not a skill. Manifestation is a point of realization. And at that point of realization, you realize that you've been manifesting your entire existence. And so I'm interested right now if you guys share the last time you manifested somebody, manifested something. I was thinking about the two people I was just talking to yesterday, where they, one of them was very scientifically minded and asking me questions about manifesting, and I told him that you just reverse engineer manifesting. So when significant events happen in your life, you can just ask the question, what created this? How did I create this? Or if you're with a group of people, the question is, who created this? We were all eating last night, and like 30 witches just surrounded us at the restaurant and started dancing. Let me back up a little bit. I was explaining that we get a ping from a future reality or a possible future reality, and then that's happening all the time. And with our thoughts, emotions, and actions, that is the steering wheel through realities. And I'm uncertain if we do have any free will in this, but if we take the perspective of having free will, dude, this is nuts. There's so many surfers out there. I don't know if you guys can see that. It actually looks like no surfers are out there on the screen, but there's like 50. We're always getting pinged from usually the reality that you're most aligned to, and sometimes we're getting pinged from realities that we're not aligned to at all. And so the distance of projection is a lot more, and it would require more change in order to be aligned in your thoughts, emotions, and actions. So what I mean by that is getting pinged from reality, and then my wife bring up 2 days ago witches, us hanging out with a bunch of witches, and all of us considering doing that on Friday, and then the next day we actually end up, all the witches come to us. And that's not that far from our reality, right? Especially since Halloween is right around the corner. But if we get a ping from a reality where we're a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and we get pinged from that reality, and we feel or we see a vision or we have a desire to do that, that's an example of a ping from a reality. It's like it's point. These dogs are about to get murdered. Solar. One of them has blue hair. What was I saying? What's going on here? So someone's saying you're never not manifesting, especially yes. Yes. I'm glad you said somebody, because I feel like I've been intentional about my focus and vibration, but I ended up in a relationship dynamic that I didn't think I was still manifesting. So you're having recognition that you're still manifesting this type of relationship, which is good because that empowers you, right? The second that you say, like, this isn't supposed to be happening again, that's when you give up your power. When you start saying, why is this other person like this? You're giving up your power. It's super easy to just ask the question, how did I create this? Even if you're confused, how did I create this? And you can usually track back the moment where you got that ping and you aligned your thoughts, emotions, and actions towards your current reality. And it doesn't matter what that reality is. Connect with the surfers. What I'm blowing off right now is the speaker. I'm not even sure if you guys can hear me anymore. Happy late birthday and anniversary. Ping. Something about being pinged. Ping from a future reality in alignment to it. Required change in alignment. What if you're getting too many pings? That's a good question. Things appear out of thin air. Our vision is limited. Things appear out of thin air. Our vision is limited. I could definitely agree with our vision is limited. And so when you actually try to manifest things, which is great, we usually don't realize that the situation that's going to show up is going to be drastically different than how you intended to manifest it. Yes, I can hear you. So somebody said, what if you're getting too many pings? Which is a good question. It essentially means that you have no focus. And when you have no focus, you're like an open channel. And when you're an open channel, you are available. You're available to be in alignment with many realities. And then that causes you to not focus on any. And then now you're just adrift. You're just a lost person adrift, which is the exact same as if you didn't have awareness of your ability to create, because you're not creating. You're just letting... What is that? This is a gigantic bird. A hawk or an eagle or something? You guys see all this? Beautiful, messy nature. There's rocks on the beach. There's sticks on the beach. There's dead animals. That's nature. So, important. When you are in alignment, when you're focusing on things, you're going to have less options. And the options are going to be those that are in alignment with your vision. So it's very important for you to decide. And decide is decide, day, side. Scissors and decide kind of have the same root word. And that means to cut off. It means to cut off that which is not serving you. And so first figure out what it is. This is why we're here, everybody. If you're like, well, I don't know what to think about. That's the purpose of a human life. Or I don't know what to do, or I'm bored. That's the purpose of why we're here. We're learning to develop the skill set of creation. So just like we learn to walk, right? Like first we stand up and we're like, oh wow, I have these legs, and there's motivation to stand, and now I have to press into the ground, and I have to use the structure of my body to hold me up, and then I have to balance, and once I'm able to hold myself still, then I use these legs to operate the body, and you're coordinating your intentions with your mind's ability to move your legs. It's the same thing. We are going through the process of learning to align our thoughts, emotions, and actions to take control of the steering wheel of creation. This is all the school. You can it all makes sense when you go into reincarnation. Basically, reincarnation is what can answer and, how can I say this? Unify science, religion, everybody's questions. Whenever manifestation comes up, the first thing people say is like, it's impossible for us to be creating. What about the people that are victims of child abuse? Did that 3-year-old really choose to do that? Did they really manifest that? No, it doesn't make sense from the YOLO standpoint, right? And that's what is the messaging of almost everything. It's a very fear-based message. Look at advertisement. It's all messaging based on fear. When you can keep a society in a state of fear, then they're much easier to be manipulated, because the fear of death is something that's very visceral for human beings. Did you guys know that humans are only born with 2 fears? Now I'm trying to think what they are. I got it. Loud noises and falling. That's the only 2 fears that humans have. So fear of spiders, fear of big, scary-looking men in dark alleys, that's all learned. Where is that learned from? Learned from movies, learned from media. You turn on the TV and it's like, elderly woman was stabbed with a screwdriver because she put dog poop in a neighbor's trash can. And so you get all these fears because we're fed this ridiculousness. Like the most darkest, dirtiest stuff of society is consistently promoted to us, and we develop fears. How do you bring yourself... I'm going to go back to the questions. Hello, Stephanie. It's been a long time. She was actually one of my very first clients. If you guys read my recent posts about my journey of moving to LA, there was a time where I was training on the 11th floor of a building, and she was one of the like 8 clients that I had there. And then from there I moved to a 10,000 square foot gym, and I had 4 months to get up to 50 or 60 clients to pay for rent. How do you bring yourself to focus to manifest and create? Desire. Think about desire as de sedere. De from sedere, stars. Desire is from the stars. So instead of thinking about want, which is vant, which is lack, vant is a Norse word meaning lack, you must understand the difference between vant and lack, because vant is a creation of society. Society creates a fear, and then you realize that you lack safety, and so you want safety, and so you do things to prove to yourself that you are safe, because you've been sold this story that you're not. That would be a want. Okay, so it's very subtle, and it's hard for me to even use the English language to tell the subtle distinctions, because we don't have the words to explain this difference. But I'm trying to spell it out, literally spell it out. Desire is different from the stars. So look at these waves. So and I'm gonna get to Stephanie's questions. So this wave is going into... You guys can learn so much from nature. This is going to be relevant in a second. It's going to come up. But there's a wave coming in, and then it just slowly goes in to... This is essentially a river that's coming from those mountains back there. And so it's fresh water, and then the waves are cruising in. Can you guys just see the harmony in this wave? It's almost like you get lessons that are beyond words by just watching this. Like it's speaking to you. The information is just being downloaded. Okay, we're back to the difference between want, which is lack, and desire, which is from the stars. Now, a desire would be you're walking down the street or you're watching a wave in nature, like we just were, and you just get a ping. You just get this thought, and it feels satisfying to you. It feels harmonious to you. It feels like the pieces would just click in place in that reality. Like it's almost like, oh, that's just perfect. That would be perfect. That's the difference. Desire and want. And it's subtle, but we must know the difference. Because desire is real, want is, if you stay with your wants, you will continuously create want. You're going to continuously create lack. If you say things like, I want a new job, I want a new car, I want a security system, what does that mean? Etymologically, what are you spelling out? You're literally saying, I lack security system. I lack this car. I forget the third example I used. So know that words are powerful. Words are worlds. And abracadabra, as I speak, it shall be. And if you're really looking to take responsibility of your life as a creator, these are the things that are important. You now know that want means lack. So anytime you say, I want something, Solar, you don't need to drink. Hey. Sorry. My dude is drinking salt water. When you affirm lack, you're going to create lack. When you get a desire and you immediately align to it, and you actually take that vision and you build it up, if this were to be that way, it's almost like you get a ping and you see the thing, and then that allows you to see more of it. You build in the details. Like, you're like, okay, if that happens then, if then statements are great. If that happens then. And you're like, if that happens then this would happen or would need to be. And then that would need to be is your next step. Like, I can do that or I can't do that. If I can't do that, then what needs to happen for that? Because when you get that desire, there might be missing pieces that you then get to act on. You then get to think about. You then get to determine how you're emotionally connected to it. Who you could align with that also would care about it. All of these things are going to come flooding in because you put focus and energy towards that desire. And starting with understanding the difference, understanding is another word that we should be getting out of our language as well. To stand under, to give up your power, right? So understanding or overstanding. There's a lot of words that and songs and things that we can do that seem silly, right? Like, why would I, like, it seems silly to not say good morning and to say grand rising, right? Or to not use the word understanding. It seems silly until you are in recognition that you're manifesting things every moment of the day and that your words are powerful. That was a good question. Stephanie, where are you? This is Ventura. How do I choose the best pings? The best pings are the ones that are the strongest. They're the ones that probably scare you as well. And in those moments, we decide, am I taking this fork in the road, or am I going to stay where I am? And a lot of times it means that you break up with yourself. And it's difficult to break up with yourself. Breaking up with another person is difficult. Imagine breaking up with yourself, who you've been with forever. And you get to release one of the biggest parts about manifestation, I should say the bigger part about manifestation, is not creation. It's clearing space for the creation to be possible. You cannot go into a new reality while holding on to your current reality. It's just not going to happen. That's not how it works. You're in alignment to everything in your current reality. If you desire things to be different, then things are going to be different. You don't get to keep your current situation, your current comforts. They don't get to go with you. Maybe even you don't get to keep your current languaging. You don't get to keep everything. And you'll know. I can't find any way to function. I'm literally frozen physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I don't understand what's happening on how to move through. First step, if this was like a counsel, first step was to determine why. Why are you unable to function? I mean, obviously I would need to clarify and ask questions about that. But once that clarification, once I have clarity on that, the next step is to ask the question, okay, why? What did you need? What did you need a break from? And also, I'm assuming that there was a point that you weren't stuck, and so now you just cleared up a bunch of space, which is a benefit because now you have a blank canvas to then create from. You once said that a key to manifesting is envisioning the future as the past. I'm not even finished reading this, and it's already something I love. But now I got blue ears are back here. Blue ears, blue paws, and blue tail. This dog's looking like he's mean mugging 107-pound Solar. Hey, Solar, come here. Solar, be nice. All right, we're gonna have to go the gentle route. Solar, gentle. Solar, gentle. Look at this cute dog. So seen. Can you maybe grab him? Because sometimes he's not that friendly.
If I come closer, Bill.
I got him. Thank you. Okay. You once said that a key to manifesting is envisioning the future as the past in order to get rid of fear. Is getting rid of fear a big part of manifesting? I would say fear is the opposite of growth or love, or the opposite of manifesting. Yes, fear is the function that we have that stops us from movement. It stops us from growth. It keeps us in safety, which we're addicted to because we're fed all this fear. So we're in massive addiction to safety. Fear keeps us still. It keeps us stagnant. And so growth is the opposite of that. Things that grow go through challenges, and it's super easy to not do the challenges and just say I'm scared of it, or just feel that I'm scared of it. So I'll re-emphasize what this person, Nick, is talking about. I said that we can hack our brain. We can hack our mind when fear pops up. because fear is a function of our mind in reference to the future. And without talking about time being nonlinear, we'll just talk from the standpoint of there is a past, a present, and a future. And so if you're experiencing fear in regards to the future, that is a perfectly functional part of your brain. It's your negative mind that's stopping you from crossing the road, right? Your positive mind wants you to cross the road, but your negative mind is saying, no, there could be a car. Let's stay over here and not experience what's over there. It's not worth it. So you stay on this side of the road. Our mind, we can hack that. Our mind doesn't experience fear when thinking about the past. It just doesn't. There's no reason for our mind to fear the past, because the past is like, we either crossed the road then or we didn't cross the road. There's nothing to fear in the past. So the way that we can do that is we can think about our future as the past. Meditate, get into a theta state, go into the future. So if you're experiencing a lot of fear about a step that you need to take, and you're having a difficult time taking the step, you're having a difficult time crossing the road, then go into the future in a meditative state to 6 months beyond the time that you actually cross the road. So right now in physical reality, you haven't crossed the road. So you imagine crossing the road. And when you imagine crossing the road, you're imagining 6 months after you cross the road. And so you've already crossed the road. Go through the visual exercise of what's happened in the last 6 months since you crossed the road. Now you're gaining clarity. You're able to feel things that was impossible to feel because fear was overriding your mind, overriding your literally emotions as well as overriding your sensations and making you want safety more than the thing. So visualize, get into a meditation, go 10 years, 5 years, past the point where you actually did the thing. And what happened because you crossed the road? What have happened? Remember back. I remember back when I crossed this road, and when I did, there was all of these other options that I didn't know, and then this happened, and just go through that. You'll gain clarity. You'll learn to feel what it would feel like to be on the other side of the road, and fear won't be diluting or confusing you if you use that meditation. What if we released all ideas of beach and claimed a new collective reality? What if we saw everything as an expression of God? Yes, exactly. Including you. Which means what? Call yourself God. Because that is what you are, if that's the words you use. That's exactly what I'm saying. If God is everything, an expression of God, then what are you? An expression of God. What is your enemy? What's the person that traumatized you when you were younger? Who are they? It's more interesting now, isn't it? It's like you just opened up another dimension that wasn't accessed to you before. If this is all an expression of God, who's your enemy right now? What are they? They're the ones forcing you to grow. They're the ones getting you further away from death and decay. They're the ones challenging you. Even though it's easy to look at them as an other, really they're not. It's all unified. This is a universe. A child would stand without adult assistance. They would by simple observation. Yes. Children are masters of that. Yeah, the thing that I didn't talk about earlier is that when children see their parents afraid of something, like the parents don't have to teach kids be afraid of police. the kids will just learn it based on your reactions to police around you. And I'm not saying police are like 100% what you would consider good or beautiful in this reality. I just thought of like family programming is going to get passed down to the kids, because the kids are not only watching and observing at a level that is, they're just recording everything, they're also recording emotional frequencies that are coming off of adults. In fear will only create more fear. Fight or flight. Fight, flight, or freeze. Guys, don't forget to add in freeze, because that's actually where most of us are. And we don't realize that we are running a shock and fear phase if we're in a paralyzed state. Freeze means that you're really scared shitless. Scared, I shit my pants, I was so scared. That means that your vagus nerve literally freaked out and your organs couldn't hold themselves, so your bowels emptied. This happens in extreme circumstances. So you're now shitless because you emptied your bowels. If you're frozen, if you're paralyzed, if you're not making the next step, you are scared. You are in a fight or flight or freeze scenario. You are stressed. Your body is not sleeping. You're waking up throughout the night. You're easily agitated. You're not digesting your food properly. You're not able to focus because your body's in an adrenaline response constantly, because it thinks that there is danger. So how can you get over that? I'd rather not go on that subject, because that's just complete. It's a big subject. Clowns under the bed. Wow, I'm really behind on these comments. Can you post this live somewhere? Would love to listen back. Yes, it's funny because the lives that I don't think are that valuable, and this is how it was coaching classes and being a teacher. The scenarios where you're like, I was a little off the mark on that one. That seems to be the ones that other people like. And I was absolutely not going to post this one. I was like, this one's just going to be, we'll see if I do or not. Another post? Can you post this live somewhere? Flow state, spectacular, true, nature, energy, peaceful. Okay, I think these are the people talking about the wave. So love it, patterns, fun, huh? Do you still sun your butthole? The whole world's doing it now, so I'm on to things. That was like 2018-ish. Like, guys, I was outside naked, and I still am outside with as much skin exposed to the sun constantly. But at that point, I was like outside naked for 5 years before I made that post. It's not just about the butthole, all right? The whole external shell of the body is made to absorb light. It's not made to shield anything. The body is made to absorb the earth that we're walking on. The body is made to absorb frequencies that we're around. That's where things like intuition come from. The body's made to absorb. It's not made to protect. Wants are from the ego. Desires are from the soul. Yeah, it depends on how you describe soul. If you describe soul as, and that's just kind of a, there's levels, there's dimensions or densities to how wide the self gets. That's why one of my big branding things is self-expansion. We expand the concept of ourself to encompass the totality of everything. Like the guy was just saying, this is all a beautiful expression. He didn't say beautiful. He said he said it's like a wordless expression of God. Yes, it is beyond words. Words are a limited construct that we made to communicate with ourselves And then it was not even words. Words were done after. First, we're communicating with our eyeballs. That's what the whites in our eyes were. And then it was sound, but sounds that actually, like a scream versus a moan versus like that's actually the sound of the thing. And then there was a sound for beach, but it wasn't beach. It was more like a song. So the really, really old languages are songs. There's no broken spaces of words because it's all connected. And then eventually we broke shit into words, and then there was controlling powers that were like, well, if these words didn't include these words, then society would be a lot easier to control. And if these words, like, let's switch the meanings of these words. Let's actually say that the word for lack is actually the word that means that they desire it, and so let's train the people to use want. And what's another word that is kind of like the opposite? It's called apocalypse. Like, apocalypse is like, let's teach people that the word for that apocalypse means that the world is ending, which is true. How's it going? Good. Apocalypse means that the world is ending, but apocalypse really means a great revealing. It means that the veil is taken down. So we've got all these words that we think. Mourning means to mourn the dead. Let's actually just say the beginning part of the day is that. Let's name a week after weakness. Like, you're unfit. You're not strong. That's what weak means. Month is another word. Month means a lunar cycle. And instead of changing the word, they actually changed the length of the month to not be a lunar cycle. So it was 28 days, but let's change that up. So you guys see, it's really easy to play with societies. And it's almost like we're in a game of The Sims, which you might be. And it's like, well, let's make this a little adjustment and see how the people respond. I want to know if you still ran your taint. What does that mean? Abracadabra, buddy, sunhole? As a man thinketh, he shall be. It's happening now. Yes. Deep thoughts with Pat. Oh, the guy talking about the butt stuff. The best pings have the most excitement. Yes. And if you look up the etymology of excitement, you'll see how that can be related. Excitement's like a charge. I don't even know. I never looked it up. But I would assume excitement has to do with like an energetic charge. And then you look at like what energy is, what light is, and prana, and you can see like how, if it meant that, which I don't know if it does, that would make sense. And if it doesn't, it might mean something opposite. Then you're like, okay, so what is the word that means what we think excitement means if that's not what it means? Because there's probably a word that actually means that we've learned not to use. Liminality, creating the liminal space. Thank you for that. Keep taking leaps of faith. That's how we get radical shifts here. Walk by faith, not by sight. I need to get out of here, and there's just dogs everywhere. And solar. We love blank canvases. Cute dog that never hear his mother calling his name. Marley, listen. Pain equals growth. The pre-sent gift of now to the children of God. Yes. Pre-sent? It's being, we're able to receive at a greater and greater level. Bless my brother, says Cole. Way of Tai Chi, yo. Please talk more about remembering the future. You are on the right track. I think I said enough. It is a really beautiful black backdrop. Backdrop, not blacktop. Drop. That's another thing. Black, we're taught, is like this bad thing. Guys, black is black because it doesn't give off any light. Black is the absorption of light. Black is light. Like black is black because it doesn't reflect out any light. And so everything is this paradox. Where do seeds grow? In the blackness. Needs to go into the darkness without light. Seeds do not grow in the light. It needs to go into the darkness in order for that phase to happen. The growth happens in the dark. How do you get back from being adrift? Take action on a ping. And also positively, which you heard me do, relate positively to what and where you've done. Try your best not to look at yourself as a waste or to look at the last 5 years as a waste. And I have to coach a lot of people that are into like organizations or things like religions or a job that they didn't like. It's all for a reason. And eventually you're going to come back to respect the thing, respect the experience. Because a lot of times when we swing pendulums, we're on so far the other side and we're like, that religion I was in sucked and they took advantage of people, and that's because you're way on the other side now. But eventually you're going to swing back and you're going to be able to integrate both polarities and realize that like, oh, it actually was useful for me. And I'm glad that I went through that experience because it taught me X, Y, and Z. And so I'm just giving you the future. If you're looking at a past experience thinking down on yourself, you're eventually not going to do that. So don't even just skip over that. I guess to a degree you need to go through that phase a few times in your life before you realize, okay, I accept myself as a progression and I'm going through life, and half of me knowing what direction to go is knowing what direction not to go. And so I go into these walls and I bump myself into it and I get lost and I get confused and I get paralyzed, so that I learn the lesson and I know now what to do, or I know what to teach my grandkids, or I know how to be empathetic and compassionate to somebody else who's in the same scenario. So there's value to everything. So that would be my advice on that, is absolutely try to stay in gratitude to your situations, even if you view them as a mistake, because the 80-year-old version of yourself will not view any of this as a mistake. You will have a bird's eye perspective of your life where you have recognition of the necessity and perfection of everything that you went through in your life. And if that doesn't happen when you're 80, then it's going to happen when you die. There's going to be that flash, or maybe if you believe the many people that have gone to the other side, they speak of a panoramic life review where you're panoramic. I thought this was another animal. A panoramic life review where your panoramic means like around you, right? So a panoramic life review means that you experience everything that you've done in your life from the perspective of everybody that was involved. And from my standpoint, again, it's densities and dimensions. Eventually, or maybe some of us who have an ability to be granted a much greater perspective, you get access to the perspective of all, which is what some people call God, right? Like everything is being experienced by everything else. And that's the purpose of this dimension, where we have these limits of linear time, and we have this limits of physical reality. And this is where we can have these experiences that transcend time and space. It feeds up in density and dimension to a greater organized entity that is experiencing all of our experiences from every single perspective. All right, I'm going to go on a speed round here, guys. Speed round. I'm going to answer the rest of the questions very quickly. It's crazy how you went from a physical trainer to internal healer for the masses. I did not, though. That's the thing. I went to school for psychology. So as a 17-year-old, this was the path. And I went to school for psychology because I thought that this is what psychology was. We are teaching people how to live. And I learned in psychology that that's not what they teach you. And then I was like 3 years in or something, and I was like, okay, well, this degree is worthless. What else am I going to do? And so I just tacked on a minor in exercise science, which was also worthless, but it literally didn't teach me a single thing. That either of these degrees didn't teach me a single thing, or maybe at the time I wasn't able to decipher, maybe because I wasn't buying textbooks, because I kind of like gave up on school and I was downloading my own, pirating basically my own information. But and then my backup plan was exercise science because I was interested in it. So then I moved to California and I opened up a gym. And when I opened up a gym, I started training all of this to my clients, because in the beginning all I had was private clients that were paying me $900 to $1,200 a month, and somebody paying that amount of money just one-on-one, you can talk about all of this with them. And then it was time to scale the business. And when you scale the business, you have to cut off, you have to decide what is important for hundreds of people. And when you decide what is important for hundreds of people, basically I was advised, I went to a party with all of these magicians. They were like powerful people that work with celebrities and pro athletes, and these are the people that like are magical. Like I was watching things happen that shouldn't happen. Like guy was putting hands on people and like his hand was blowing up to the size of a Mickey Mouse hand, or he put his hands on my stomach and his face blew up like this big. He didn't no longer had eyes. His face was completely swollen, and he would do this thing with his thumbs to release all that pressure, and he was essentially pulling energy out of people. So stuff like that, like weird voodoo type stuff. And one of those people, very smart man, I don't even remember what he did, but he told me, because I explained to him my vision of a gym, and he said to me, if you're looking to create a gym, because I also did have interest in athletes, and I did have a really big interest in the gym, but he said if that's your main interest, then put all this other stuff in the back room. Like put it all in the back room. Don't have it on the display that's facing the street. Like just have the physical training stuff on the display, and those that are close and close enough to you, they'll absorb all of this stuff. And the people that train in my gym did get a lot of this. It wasn't like I taught it on the lesson plan, but I was me then. Like it's impossible for me to be around you without talking and expressing the importance of this stuff. I just got a message from one of my training partners from like 15 years ago, and he said, dude, I train outside every single day because of you. Like I go outside every single day because of you. Like you had lasting impact on me. And so this isn't exactly new. The gym was kind of a backup plan to get me ready, I guess. Moon meant mind. Mind, moon. Yes. Government. Govern, to rule, the mind. A favorite time was topless in Mexico. Swimming, stunning, and it not being a problem or taboo. Right, because we're human. Merkaba, light, spirit, body. Words, that was not a turbo round. Now I got to get into turbo round. Words and sounds and vibration in the body signals hormones. Yes. The English language is feminized as opposed to other guttural languages. So think about the guttural languages that are like that actually vibrates your brain, and it serves a purpose to move fluids down the meninges, which is like your detox pathway in the brain. The English language has very few of this like strong vibrational noises that we make with our body. And so That's where exercise or even just jumping on a rebounder or chanting foreign languages, ancient languages, comes to play. Like from a scientific mind standpoint, if you're not into chanting as being beneficial for aligning the chakras and opening up portals to dimensions, then just know that doing that is actually going to detox your brain, which is going to be more in alignment with doing all that other stuff anyways. So yes, language has been shifted. I'm really that far behind on the comments when I was talking about language. A division happened. Words are potent. Yes, emergency. And it's an emergence. What about words having vibrational frequencies of they're describing? What's up, Pedro? I don't really know what that means, though, Pedro. My friends call this song Strong End. The veil is lifting and we can choose to see now. How do we discover what our purpose is, our natural skill or talent? There's many ways to answer this. What just came to me, though, was the thing that you desire most is in the thing that you desire is in the cave that you fear most. The thing that you desire is in the fear. I don't know the exact quote, but something like that. And I don't know who said it. The thing that you desire is in the cave that you fear most. What if you know the action, because that's the biggest street to cross. That's where the most growth is. What if you know the action you must take, but there is no clear vision of what's after that? There never is. You are scared of not knowing what's next. You will never be able to predict what's next because you only know what's next by doing the thing. That's the only way to know. Once you get on top of that mountain, then you have more perspective. But then there's more mountaintops that you get to grow to, then you gain that perspective. You don't just get to, like, know. Compost equals black gold. Yeah. And there's another thing called terra preta, dark earth, which is the entire Amazon. In several of what's his name? Graham Hancock's books, he talks about how to make terra preta. Preta? Dark? Dark earth. But the whole Amazon is essentially a garden. There's very few plants in the Amazon that are native to that area, and those plants are useful to humans. So it's like in the Amazon, the only thing that's growing that's native are the plants that are useful to humans, and everything else was externally imported into a garden with special soil that is self-regenerating. I took action to sell my home and it closes 11/19. I have not seen my next home on the market yet. Any advice for manifesting my new living space? Good question, Jennifer. Determine how it is you should feel. If you don't have the mind component, then definitely practice the emotional component. And then you'll know when it comes how it feels because you've already practiced it. And it'll stick out. It'll be brighter. It'll be aligned to how you know that you feel in your next home. How are you shooting this? Does your phone have a rig? I'm just holding like a little tripod thing. Not really a tripod. It's one of those stands. I use Loom Cube stands, and then I also have Rode Wireless Pro, so I have these, and then I got this little cheap thing. I think it's called JK, like a JK ear thing. Sorry, you guys, that's probably really loud, but I dropped it, so there's sand all in it. Nothing is worthless. Feel deep continuously into your best feeling of living, dream space. The feeling are more important. Stay in gratitude, Jen. Visualize yourself from the point of view that you're already in your new home. Nick, that's what leaf of face means. Oh man, I think I'm catching up on these comments. I think I'm catching up. Environment and community. We are products of our environment. What's your opinion on... And whoever answered that question basically answered it the same way I did, so that was cool. What's your opinion on so many snakes being in the spiritual community? They're not, guys. Okay, I'll answer this from the perspective of the way that it was asked. You seem really cool, but that's rare to find in this space, in my opinion. Most people are just fake, don't practice what they preach. I was shown a vision once, like in my mind, in my third eye, of a machine, and that soul meant soft oil, and that these snakes are there to promote us to soften around them and to figure out more and to grow more. So if there is a lot of snakes, if we want to take that perspective, it is for the rest of us to stand up and to grow and to essentially, it challenges us to meet the greatest version of ourself. And so they're there for our benefit. They are our teachers. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. I know that's the quote. I'm just trying to decide if I personally relate more or align more with mentioning desire before the fear, as opposed to the cave you fear holds the desire, or it holds the treasures you seek. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I took a metal swing set out of my yard and chickweed and mushrooms started to grow. Weeds in the yard tell us the soil health. Yes. Turbo round. Gosh, I'm so far behind. What's the most ancient, truest language you know of? Do you listen to Japji? I actually just picked up, this is an example of manifestation, right? I literally just emptied out a bag that's like 5 years old, and I picked up a little booklet that had it's like a 26-minute long Japji song in it, and I was about to throw it away because I was like, I'm never going to use this, and then I just put it on my library books instead. And so this is an example of a ping, because the book presented itself, and I was like, instead of the garbage can, I literally was going towards the garbage can. I was like, something's telling me to save it. I just put it on top of my books, and now this. And so now there's a reason. And so obviously that's a signal. This isn't so much about being a ping. This is about reading reality and taking the forks in the road, because obviously I'm deciding not to read that little pamphlet and learn that mantra that is very difficult to learn. It's like something you have to repeat for 2 years before you learn every single part of it. But I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I'm obviously being signaled to do it. So now it's up to me to decide that or not. And guys, we also have the right to be lazy if like we get to let fear and let compromise guide us, but then we get to sit in that, right? I will never know what it would be like if I did go down that road, if I choose not to. We'll see. Powerful session, everybody. Powerful session. Thank you so much for your input. I am going to go. I'm going to go now. This is what the sky looks like, though. Bye-bye. Beautiful work.